93. It's really just the same old thing I do a lot is 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 2, 2, stop, right? It needs to come out like that accent-wise.
The two owners of Gary Pigora Publications are both music educators, past and present, and therefore our approach to show design is very much an educational endeavor. We want to write things that are going to be effective on the marching band field, but they're not going to be overly taxing and unnecessarily taxing on the students as visual performers.
The only reason why it's written in 4/4, not 5/8 and 7/8, people add extra time to 5/8 and 7/8, but they don't do it when it's written like this.
We want to provide something that's going to have a musical focus and a musical foundation that then is enhanced by other visual things down the line, as opposed to some of the trends lately are heavily visual based, and therefore often the music is second place or even third place to visual and or movement and or other elements of that nature.
Okay, trumpets, da do we 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, that's it right there.
I like to call my music fresh and innovative. I think that it's not a formula. I think each piece is different. I don't know enough about formulas to be able to do that, and so because of that, my music takes me into places that I didn't know I was going, and I don't think the listener knew they're gonna go.
We try to balance a lot of factors. It's very important to continue to be artistic. It's very important to provide something that is attainable, and at the same time we want to be innovative and push the envelope. We don't want to be copying what's already out there. We don't want to duplicate things that were successful in the past, but we don't want to lose sight of that either. So that's a constant balance that we're running when we're trying to write and when we're collaborating with others to keep that in perspective at all times.
As far as collaboration goes, there's several people I work with. What amazes me is how we can electronically collaborate with files, styles of music. One show I wrote that was fairly successful was based on a bunch of gamelan music, and I would have never really probably gone there myself, but through one of our other people on the staff, we worked together to go there between Nate Borg and I. Sean Glide usually adds his touch in a lot of shows that we do. And before you know it, we have something that's kind of, we think, cool, and we like it.
It's very exciting because a lot of works that are out there, I mean, you look at the majority of the instrumental world, and you have symphonic orchestra, wind band, other genres of that nature. Most of those compositions are done by one person. It's very interesting when you start putting 1 + 1 + 1 creative minds, and the sum total is far more than 2 or 3. The things that come out of these collaborations are sometimes surprising to all of us, and I think it's one of the great joys of the type of work that we do, is that artists getting to work together are so often finding themselves enhancing each other's work. Our writing team is under the direction of Gary or myself, and therefore we have our hands in just about everything that happens when it comes to the show concept and the conceptualization and coordination of the elements that go into the show.
I like to be able to do what I want to try and see how it works, and I'm always open to discuss things. There's a lot of collaboration between me and Steve Martin. Just just everything I write, not just for this company, but for I have 10 other publishers that publish my works for concert band, percussion ensemble, trombone ensemble, double reed ensemble, you know, a whole bunch of different things that I've written over the years. And virtually everything I write, I send it to Steve, and then Steve gives me feedback. What I really like is when I get feedback from Steve, and it's a spot where I've already been thinking something needs to happen here, this isn't working, or that might need adjusting, or whatever. And that's when I feel the best, when I get that kind of feedback. I'm like, I knew it, he thinks it too, it's got to be fixed, it's got to be switched, it's got to be changed, or whatever, you know. So I think, I mean, if there's one person I collaborate with more than anybody, it's definitely Steve.
Much of the catalog for Gary P. Gilroy Publications is all original music for marching band. The shows that we have in our catalog are all born from groups that commissioned them, of the writers, and then were written for those bands and performed in the fall. We would then take that show in our December recording session here and turn that show into a part of our catalog. It's an exciting process to be writing the shows because we're usually collaborating with people sometimes across the country. If somebody commissions Gary or myself to write a wind book, we would write that book in collaboration with the director. Oftentimes we ask for visual concepts or program concepts that they're looking for. We'll often ask for music that they think is in the style of what they're trying to do, and you know, that can come from any sources: orchestral music, film score, mariachi. I mean, there's where it all comes from is it's quite diverse. But at the end of the day, our job is to put something into marching band format that is original and still captures the flavor or the essence of what they originally had in mind. And then that wind book will get passed to either one of our staff writers, or sometimes it goes off to a high school and the writers there for battery and the front ensemble will fill in the rest of that book. Sometimes we will work with those writers and then publish their work, or sometimes we have our staff writers fill in for the recording session and for our own publishable manuscripts. Quite often the process of collaboration gives birth to some very exciting things.
I don't go crazy, but at the same time I don't adhere to just this rule or that rule in terms of range and in terms of anything, scoring, dynamics, articulations. The most enjoyable part about doing all this is the goosebumps that you get when it works right. You know, I mean, there's nothing like goosebumps. You know, sometimes it's luck, sometimes it's, you know, what might cause that. But usually when I walk away from my computer and keyboard after putting something together and getting those goosebumps, I just have this rush of excitement knowing that this is going to be pretty cool someday. You know, when I hit a chord that's surprising and certainly not related to maybe the harmony that we were using before that, all of a sudden we get to this one new arrival. It's delicious in my opinion. First thing is definitely Spanish. This is Americana. Should be around the world in 80 days. North America. I think maybe that's something that I find special about our music anyway, and you know, if other people do, then that's terrific. That's pretty cool. I thought that was pretty good.
Okay.
I thought that was pretty delicious.
Good. One of the elements of purchasing a show from Gary P. Gilroy Publications that might be different from buying an arrangement from a catalog or a publishing house is we provide site-based exclusivity. When you make a purchase from us, you're actually purchasing the licensing to perform the shows at specific sites. And while that may seem a little bit limited and restrictive at first, it's actually to everybody's benefit, because we will not sell a show to a band that's already planning on attending those events, we monitor where our customers are performing our shows and do not allow them to be performed twice in the same day at the same site. So a band, two bands in the same class or even two bands in separate classes will never be playing the same music at the same site, which provides for a lot of positives from that. The judges are not hearing a second and third group play the same music. The audience is also receiving new music. Obviously we can't control what other bands play at the shows, but there's often been an issue with bands who have very quality programs and who put out very exciting shows. They happen to be buying the bestseller of the year, and two or three other bands at the same contest are doing that music. That provides an opportunity for a lot of people to be unhappy. So that's one of the things that we're very excited about doing. It's a pretty intricate process on our end, but we work very closely with our customers to have that be successful so that everyone can enjoy performing the music all season long quite a bit more.
You went back and did that, but you forgot to go back and put your precision measure with an equal sign, and that's what actually ties it over. I think it was It always feels right to us. I'm always amazed that a show will feel like that's what it needs to be. That's how long this measure needs to be. That's how loud this note needs to be, whatever. And then when I get away from it for a while and come back to it, almost as if it's someone else's music. In some cases, I'll hear something being played by a band or maybe a recording of something, and it sounds right to me, and I won't even really remember that that's one of my pieces, because there's been so much water under the bridge, so many pieces that I've done each year. So it's reaffirming to me to know that I like what I've written after I've written I have some experiences in my background that does affect the way I write and the experience I have. Through most of high school, I played the French horn. I ended up going back to percussion because my embouchure in my teeth and because of my cleft palate, that was all screwed up, and I was not going to be a horn major. In college, so I ended up being a percussion major. We had too many drummers, not enough trombone players, so Charlie Iwanago, a good friend of mine, who also marched in Vanguard, talked me into joining him in the trombone section. He taught me how to play trombone. I marched drum corps for a few years. That was a major impact on my life. I judged for Bands of America, for DCI, and all that stuff, being exposed to all that, that definitely impacts my life and my writing. And I think it's made me a better writing. nothing has made me a better writing more than writing.
I'm sure there's plenty of people across the country that would make fun of it and say it's, you know, it's trite, it's this, that, and the other thing. But I sure get a kick out of hearing you guys play it. And you can do it. You don't ever be afraid of writing something. Just put it down and then change the part that you think sounds queer. But don't think the whole thing sounds queer. Go ahead. Adam was one of my students at Fire, and here, I never taught him anything about arranging or composition or anything. But he's a great writer. You know, he's a terrific. We recorded one of his shows last year. And same way with Steve, you know, you just learn by doing. I don't have any talent other than the fact that I sit there and I do it. It's all. And that's what Francis McBeth told me a long time ago. So don't be afraid to write your own music. I keep telling Adam, he needs to write the post of each show, you know. And Nick wrote a really killer show for Los Banos. And we want to publish that too.
Well, I think the value of marching band, pageantry activity, drum corps, concert band, just the discipline that's needed for the musical life and the education that's received. It's a lot more about how to play a note staccato or how to play a crescendo or how to play 16 notes. It's about learning discipline. You know, I really had no discipline until I was in my high school band, and Mr. Joe McCaskey whooped all of our butts. First day of band camp and all throughout my 4 years, and taught us to be responsible and dependable. And I'd like to think that as a high school band director and a college band director, I think I've taught students more about that than anything. And I think that's more important than anything that we've taught about music. Teach them about life and how to take care of biz.
We're talking about thousands of people that buy tickets to go to these shows. We've got parents who have thousands of dollars invested in their children in between band shoes and instruments and flags and all the things that we all know go into making marching band happen. So it's important that we're providing something quality, and it's not overly consumerized.
Always, as a high school band director, I always wrote my own field shows. And I write, and I write, and I write. If anybody likes it, good. And if they don't like it, that's fine too. But I usually like my music after I hear it, especially played by a good band that's doing a good job with it.